You've cleaned up your diet, started supplements, pushed harder in workouts, but your PCOS symptoms still won't budge. The acne, bloating, fatigue, weight gain, they're all still there. The truth? It's not your fault. You're not lazy, you're just guessing, not testing. And that's exactly why nothing is changing. The worst part about all of this is that everyone makes it seem like PCOS should be an easy fix. Like you just need to try harder. But you are trying. You've been trying. The truth is, PCOS is not a problem of willpower. It's a complex condition. However, this doesn't mean that your PCOS symptoms can't be fixed, because they can, and you absolutely can live a life free of all of your PCOS symptoms. The thing about any and all type of symptoms is that your body is not fighting against you. In fact, it's trying to communicate something with you, something that is happening at a deeper level within your body. When it comes to trying to heal your body of the annoying PCOS symptoms, we have to first understand why those symptoms appeared in the first place, aka the root cause of PCOS. Now, you might be thinking, well, PCOS runs in my family. It's in my genes, so there's just not much I can do about it. The truth about this statement is that it's only partially true. If you have PCOS, then yes, genetics can play a role in making you more prone to that diagnosis. But that doesn't mean that your symptoms or experiences are set in stone for the rest of your life. Because I know without a doubt that you can have a PMS-free cycle with a period that shows up right when it's supposed to, that doesn't come with any bloat, acne, fatigue, or unwanted hair growth. It allows you to get pregnant if and when you're ready, and it naturally supports a healthy body weight without the need for constant dieting and exercise. Comment relief below if this is exactly what you've been looking for, because while it may be a hard truth to grasp, I can assure you that relief from all the grief that PCOS has caused you is very much attainable. If you don't believe that PCOS can be healed, or if you have a hard time believing that it can be done so naturally, then let me explain with a simple analogy. There's a popular example that's often used in the holistic healing world called the rain barrel effect. The purpose of a rain barrel is in the name. It's a barrel used to collect rain. Simple enough, right? As it starts to rain, the barrel fills up. And if the owner isn't mindful of how quickly that barrel is filling up, it will eventually overflow and may cause flooding or water damage to the area surrounding the barrel. What was once used as an important tool to protect the surrounding area of any extra water now becomes a source of destruction. So how in the world does this relate to PCOS? Good question. Because in order to understand how to get rid of PCOS, we have to first understand how they got there in the first place. Just like a rain barrel and the rain that fills it up, we have to be careful with how much our body's exposed to or how much input it's receiving. Because if we aren't mindful of balancing that input with any kind of output, like the draining of that barrel, that input will have nowhere to go and it will begin to overflow internally, which leads to all sorts of symptoms, and in this case, symptoms that come along with PCOS: weight gain, bloating, inflammation, acne, hair growth, energy crashes, difficulty getting pregnant, low libido, and the list goes on. There's a Bible verse in Proverbs that says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." What we allow in, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, affects what flows out. When our internal rain barrel flows faster than we can release or process, it eventually overflows. And in the body, the overflow will show up as symptoms. The good news is that when we become mindful of what we allow in, we also give our bodies space to heal. We live in a highly stimulating, toxic world that is much different than the beginning of time. We have food covered in pesticides and full of preservatives. We live in a world full of conveniences that often means we aren't as active. Our days are full of stressors, back-to-back appointments, getting the kids to school on time, financial strain, career promotions, relationship struggles. We have constant exposure to toxins in our tap water, in our hygiene or beauty products, poor sleep, constant blue light exposure, difficulty waking up, tough emotions that are sometimes too much to handle. All of these are examples of what fills our internal rain barrel, and none of which naturally support the body from a foundational level. These things are overwhelming on the body, and the constant exposure makes it so our bodies can't keep up. So what does your body do? It signals for help in the form of symptoms. It may have been subtle at first, some hair growth on the upper lip, maybe a few more breakouts than usual, a few pounds higher on the scale, But then pretty soon you notice that your period hasn't been around for a while, and you experience a lot more uncomfortable bloating. Your days seem to drag, and all you want to do is nap. And then finally, you notice you've reached a point where you may actually need to go clothes shopping because none of your clothes are starting to fit anymore. If you think about it, I'd be willing to bet that you didn't just wake up one day with all these symptoms. It was a gradual process that has gotten worse over time. And that's how the rain barrel effect comes into play. As your body was first exposed to these different sources of input, which likely began at a younger age, your internal barrel began to fill up. And then one day, it slowly began to overflow. And with that overflow came your very first symptom of PCOS. And then the overflow and flooding continued on, which led to more and more havoc happening on the inside of your body. And this eventually led to the PCOS diagnosis and all those not so fun symptoms. The reason this overflow began to cause symptoms is because of these chronic exposures, the poor diet, exposures to different toxicities, the stress, whatever it may be, they create imbalances within the body. One of these imbalances is reflected through deficiencies in the body. It takes a lot of energy to properly handle the different exposures that the body's up against. And so when the body doesn't have enough nutrients in the form of macronutrients, vitamins, minerals, or if it's deficient in certain strains of bacteria and obviously hormones, then hormonal health, among other parts of the body, will begin to suffer. And as I'm sure you already know, poor hormonal health is very much to blame for PCOS. A few ways to minimize these deficiencies is to optimize your nutrition by eating 3 balanced meals a day, minimizing snacking, avoid stress whenever possible, and practice stress management techniques when those stressors can't be avoided. And also be sure to get at least 8 hours of sleep every single night. The other type of imbalance is high toxicity levels. The parabens, phthalates, fragrances, pesticides, heavy metals, parasites, these things have no place in the body. And so when we're exposed to them, especially at the rapid rate we often are in today's world, it begins to interfere with the normal processes of the body, which does include how your hormones run and operate. There are 2 parts when it comes to removing any source of toxicity from the body. The first is minimizing or avoiding exposure to known toxins. If this is a new concept to you, then don't feel like you have to do this all at once, but begin working through the different sources of exposure and eliminate them one by one. The next part comes in supporting the body of elimination. Your body has multiple detox pathways that need to be opened and supported in order to best remove any internal toxicities that are keeping you from feeling your best. So all this to say, when we understand what imbalances that the body has from the things we're exposed to on a daily basis and the way we live our lives, we can begin to heal the body of the PCOS symptoms that disrupt normal living. Once we understand what's filling the barrel, the next step is to get clearer insight into which areas of the body need the most support. Is it your gut health? Is it insulin levels? Or do you have extremely high levels of insulin? Keep in mind that all of these things can contribute to imbalanced hormones and ultimately the PCOS symptoms that brought you here. If you're in a place that you know you need to replenish your deficiencies and remove the toxicities to best support healing, the absolute quickest and easiest way is to take advantage of the data that comes from functional medicine testing. This information shows the exact areas of the body that need to be supported and that are also to blame for PCOS. If you've been left trying to guess what to try next to naturally resolve your PCOS symptoms that you've been dealing with, not only does this cause frustration, but the constant trial and error is exhausting. Trust me, I totally get the desire to want to try and figure things out on your own. But most of the time, this guesswork will keep women stuck for months and sometimes even years. And the one thing that they're missing is the actual data that functional medicine testing provides. The kind of data that shows the exact needs, aka the deficiencies and toxicities that your body is struggling to work through. And one of the best parts about all of this is that you can prevent 99% of the guesswork and leave your body feeling your best much, much sooner by using the personalized information that comes from testing. So if PCOS has left you feeling confused, defeated, like nothing is working, and all you want is just to have answers that solve your health struggles like yesterday, then make sure to watch the next video that shows up on your screen to learn about one very important test that will help reveal some of the specific hormonal imbalances causing some of your worst PCOS symptoms.